What's up, guys? Woodster72 here. We're going to be going over some of the controls on the handlebars, and I'm going to be going over more on the screen here. So this is going to be bike review part 2, and first thing we're going to start with is the buttons. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. Actually, let me show you that one more time. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start with some of the stuff on the screen here. So let me show you what that looks like when it starts up. See if you can see that. Sorry for the glare, but so this is the screen here. Man, I don't have a good angle here. Let me see. No. So you can see on the very top of the screen here, this is where the RPMs are. It goes along the top, and it goes up to looks like a red line starts at 11, maybe 11.2, 11.5, somewhere in there. You have your main speed, your miles per hour. This is right now I have it on my bike temp. This is a gear indicator here. Let me see if I can turn this. There you go, that's better. Okay, this is the time here. You got a fuel gauge, and then you got your mode. So this bike has 3 modes, which can be switched right here. This button. It has an A mode, standard mode, and B mode. So your first but there's 2 buttons right down here. You can see them right here. One says select and one says reset. Select, if you hit that, it's going to change this number right there. See that changing? Okay, so we're back to what we were on first. Let me get the angle right here. Okay, so this is bike temp. The next button is going to be the air temperature outside. It says air right here, air temp, and then here's the temperature. This is Fahrenheit. This is going to be the miles on the bike. So I'm up to 3,700 now. Since my last review, I think I was at 2,400, but we're up to 37 now. This is a trip meter, 147.2 it says. Then you got a trip 2. And then this is supposed to be, it's got the dots here, or the dashes and the dot, and it says MPG next to it. That's supposed to be what the miles per gallon you're getting at the moment. So if I'm riding, it'll have a number there, and depending on how much throttle I'm giving it, it's going to change either higher or less. Okay, so the next thing is going to be average miles per gallon, which it says 40.5 right now. I obviously haven't been too easy on the throttle right now, but the next thing I think, oh yeah, we're back to the bike temp. So like I said, just a overview here. You got your RPMs up on the top, up to about 11.5 is red line. You got your gear indicator here, miles per hour here, your time, bike temp, then you hit the button here, it goes to air temp, odometer, your trip 1 and trip 2, your current miles per gallon when you're riding, and then your average miles per gallon. And you can reset all of your trips. You can reset your average miles per gallon as well. So the next thing, by the way, if you haven't watched my part 1, this is a 2015 Yamaha FZ-09. Okay, so on the left side here on the handles, we have you got your blinkers right here. Let's see if I can get some more sun on here. You got your blinker button right here, left and right. And to cancel that, you just push in when it's centered. You got your horn. Okay, this is where your high beams are and low beams, up and down. Your flash to pass is on the back. Let me see if I can show that right here. Flash to pass. Okay, and then on the other side, you have your hazards. There's a hazard button right here. You just flip it to the left, flip it to the right to shut it off. This is your mode button. you have 3 modes. You have A mode, standard mode, B mode. A mode is going to be most throttle response. Standard mode's in the middle, which is where I usually like to ride it. And then B mode, and that's a little bit less aggressive throttle. So, I mean, you're not going to have as much jerkiness. Speaking of the jerkiness, I did talk about that in the part 1 video, you know, what most people complain about on this bike. So if you want to know my opinion on that, go check that video out. So next thing up is, let's go over the mirrors. You have these mirrors here. They're mounted right on the handlebars, and I'd say they're about 3.5 to 4 inches up off your grips. I wouldn't say they're super great mirrors, but I think my problem is that being a little bit bigger rider, I have problems seeing around me. But let's see, from my point of view, I think my left one's set better, but you know, I mean, this is my edge of my arm right here. That's so I usually got to kind of lean in a little so I can see around me. But I've been thinking about getting bar end mirrors. Not that that's going to help, but I don't like these antenna looking mirrors. So I mean, these just screw off, so I might just take those off. So that is the controls, the digital display here, and then you have another thing that I don't see on many reviews is what this. I mean, I don't know if this is standard on most bikes, and I know you can replace it, but you just got this little pole. It says pole here. You lift it up, and it just pops up. You put your key in, turn it, and it opens. And then so now we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to the mods I've done to the bike. Also, one thing before we move on, your ignition is right down here. I have a single key here. This is what it looks like. Not that that's important, but it does. You can lock the steering, lock the steering, so it locks, you know, either to the left or to the right. So this is the yellow version of the FZ-09. I like the color a lot. My favorite one that I've seen is definitely the orange, but this one does look very good in person as well. So let's start with the front here. My first modification I've made is this windscreen, and it is the Puig windscreen. I think it's a sport version. They have a touring version that goes, I'd say, another 3 inches up. I didn't want too much sticking up over the front, but you know, after using it, and I used it on the interstate when I went to visit some relatives, and it worked good. The wind, I was going, you know, 75 to 80 miles per hour on the interstate, sometimes, you know, 85, but it definitely directs the wind more up towards my the top of my head instead of on my chest, which after riding for hours and hours that day, my neck was pretty sore. But it's better than, you know, always being pushed off the bike by the wind. So the next thing would be my seat. Now, I've had a lot of people ask me about the seat here. It is a Saddleman Gel Tech. And let me get out of the way here of the sun. Saddleman Gel Tech. It's going to be hard to, one sec. It's going to be hard to explain the seat, but it has a gel channel that goes down the middle here, right in here, and it's soft, squishy, and then it's got these foam right here. It's like almost like a memory foam, and it's pretty cushioned. So the stock FZ-09 seat, let me get a different angle here. It goes basically from here, and it just goes whoop straight up. This seat, I don't know if you can tell from the angle or not, but it has more of a spot for your butt. You know, it goes here and then it comes up, and it's got a fabric here. This is all fabric, and then right, you know, along these edges here, this is where, you know, it's leather or a synthetic leather, whatever. The back is still soft enough for a rider. So the next thing, that was the seat. It is kind of pricey. I don't know. I guess I would recommend it if you don't like the stock seat. So the next upgrade was the fender Eliminator kit. I don't know if you guys have seen the stock seat or stock fender Eliminator, or I mean, sorry, stock tail on this, but I was not a fan. That was the first thing I took off of it. I think a lot of people do on their sport bikes. But this one, I will leave a link in the description of where I got it. I got it on RevZilla. I just can't remember the brand right now. But it did, it tucked it in there pretty good. And you use your stock blinkers, and they pop right into the frame. Wiring was simple. It came with good instructions. Here's a side view for you. Okay, so that's the fender eliminator kit. First thing I did on my bike. My favorite thing I've done to my bike is definitely the exhaust, and I have videos of it on my channel. They're not very, I'd say, descriptive, but I am going to do a better video of it. So this is the M4 exhaust. It'd be kind of hard to see here. I don't have the sun on this side, but it is awesome sounding. So let me do a quick startup of it. Actually, I'm gonna wait for this car to go by. So this is the M4 exhaust here. It has a slip-on. You cut your stock pipe from the headers right behind the headers here, and then you slide this one on, tighten it on, and then you bolt it right in here. So I'm going to do a quick startup before more cars drive by. I will have a better sounding video, or not sounding, but I'll have a better video of this later on. Okay, here's startup. Okay, so that's the exhaust. Just shut this off. That is the M4 exhaust without the baffle. Absolutely love this bike. I mean, I love the exhaust on this. The stock exhaust is just not loud at all. So that is the bike review part 2. I might have one more video covering a couple more parts of the bike, but thanks for watching. Woodster72 out.